let's move to the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, where the President of Ghana, Dr. John Mahama, addressed a side event on Accra Reset, which he described as an initiative that should prepare Africa in today's changing global order. Attending the event was Nigeria's former President Olusegun Obasanjo, the Vice President of Nigeria, Kashim Shettima, as well as top African policy leaders from Afrexim Bank, the Africa Finance Corporation, among others.
The Alliance for African Multilateral Financial Institutions and the Confederation of Indian Industry. This afternoon, I stand before you as an African leader born in the heady days of post-independence Africa. Growing up, I could feel the excitement of my parents and their generation about the possibilities of our newly won freedom and the right to manage our own affairs. My country, Ghana, will celebrate its 70th anniversary of independence from colonial rule in March next year. In the relatively short span of 7 decades, we've been through a lot. We've seen coups d'etats and periods of democratic governance. We've lived through the Cold War, witnessed the fall of the Berlin Wall. We're excited about the advent of globalization, and we came together as a global family to work on the MDGs, the SDGs, and climate change. Today, as I address you here in Davos, one thing is clear. Our world as we know it is at an inflection point. The global multilateral governance system, universally agreed and accepted after the Second World War, is breaking down. Bilateral relations among nations are increasingly becoming transactional, and many state and non-state actors are acting unilaterally in pursuing their own national and parochial interests. Africa has lagged behind in the past decades following liberation from colonial rule and has been trapped in cycles of conflict and multidimensional poverty. Africa has thrived on handouts and humanitarian assistance from the developed world. While no specific name has yet been coined for the new global system that will emerge, Africa intends to be at the table in determining what that new global order will look like. Africa must pull itself up by its own bootstraps. Global humanitarian assistance is shrinking, and many developed countries, including Europe, are compelled to cut overseas development assistance and increase defense spending by the new reality of an unpredictable ally across the Atlantic. The COVID experience was a wake-up call. Africa was the last continent to begin receiving vaccines amid a global pandemic. But for the immunological profile and resilience of our African population, many millions would have died in that pandemic. And that is why I'm grateful, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, that you made time to be a part of this afternoon's Davos convening of the Accra Reset initiative on the sidelines of the World Economic Forum. Just last September at the UN General Assembly, I introduced the Accra Reset initiative, not as another declaration, not as a wish list, but as a practical answer to a question millions of young Africans are asking: what should Africa's response be in a changing global order? Today in Ghana, we're answering that question. We're resetting our country. We're cutting waste, we're restoring hope, and we're building systems that work. In my first year of being back in office, we've shown that democracy works, and that change is possible when leadership is focused and accountable to the people. From a debt-distressed, crisis-ridden economy, we've achieved an impressive turnaround with a stable macroeconomy characterized by single-digit inflation, a strengthened currency, and increased business confidence.
Aid systems are under fiscal stress and are dwindling, if not disappearing. Institutions are pulled by competition and mandates. Trust is weakening. Coordination is harder. In such moments, countries that are not organized for negotiation and execution do not merely fall behind. They become bargaining chips and at best, and footsteps at the worst. That is why the Accra reset has come to be, to inspire leaders to stop complaining about the system that has changed or is changing, and to build a way through it. Across much of Global South, we see a similar distressing pattern. And as the Prime Minister said during the panel discussion, clarity of policies that we don't often see. Vulnerability to the geopolitics of others. Dependence on financing that comes with fragmentation, volatility, and weak domestic accountability. Marginalization from value and technology, even when the inputs come from our soil and the labor comes from our people. My brother, President John Mahama, has called it a triple dependency. I agree. And it produces a dangerous habit. It trains nations to negotiate from fear, to plan from scarcity, and to implement under permanent interruption, and now with disruption added. So let us be clear. Sovereignty is not a flag that we have gone to come here and wave about. Sovereignty is discipline. It is the ability to make choices and carry them through.